Welcome back to the channel, everybody. From
Bugger all.
last week's Bugger All to this week's Show Enough. And for me,
Show enough. Show enough.
Show Enough.
Show enough.
Dizzy Gillespie, Show Enough. Dad is sitting right here in Austin with me.
Hey.
So I'm pretty excited to have him here. I've had some technical glitches, so you're going to notice the light pop on and pop off. But baby, we're here. That's what matters.
We made it. We made it. Thanks for joining us.
Ready to get started.
Well, get started then already.
Let me say that one of the impressive things about this album is the number of artists, the professionals that are playing on this album. It's just a long list of some really good musicians. And especially, I mean, I like Sarah Vaughan, right? And she's doing some vocals on this album, at least one, if not several. So you'll hear her maybe with some of the selections that I make.
Yeah, the one selection that you get, you make.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're talking about Charlie Parker on alto, Dexter Gordon on tenor. Give it up for my man Milt Jackson on the vibes, please, because I'm in love. I'm in love with his work, especially on this album. And Miss Sarah Vaughan, with even more than that, you know, Sid Catlett and Kenny Clark on the bass. Whew, please give me some on the drums. I'm sorry, on the drums. But yeah, so all right, so you made it to Austin. Tell me how your week in music was. One of you.
I had a limited, again, week in music, except for diving into this album. And then I listened to some of the Dizzy stuff. I think it was on Odyssey. And, I got into that almost as much as I did this album here. So, yeah, he's a fine player. Just out of this world.
Drew, what about you? How was your week?
My week's been pretty good. You know, I packed it in with a lot of Diz's work. Packed it in with our personal stuff as well, which is just banging. I've enjoyed kind of jazz and getting prepared for this. My life and stuff is just busy right now. I've got a couple of big video projects that are not necessarily due, but in the process. I've tried some new things with the Unconnoisseur. You'll see that when the episode drops tomorrow, Wednesday morning. Maybe we like it, maybe we don't. Last night, I had the opportunity to talk with 12 individuals, some parents and some students at at the New School of Music Sunday Night Ensemble. So I've got a lot of video of that coming out as well. It's been a busy, hectic week and then trying to enjoy the music has been tough. I can't tell you a lie that at 5 o'clock this morning, I actually got up to listen to this album. And just put in my headphones here in the office and just chilled, relaxed, and enjoyed the sounds that were coming on. I also did a little bit of homework on that. So I want to talk about the album. But what about your week, Matt?
Oh man. Well, we had our annual progressive dinner party with our friends. This was year number 26 of our progressive dinner party. So and I told you last week on the episode, 26 years of doing the party together, and we had a great time. We all spent the evening in the night in our friend's lake cabin because it sleeps 30 people, and so we all brought our individual courses and we ate like just so much food. We had a few drinks, we played games, and just kind of hung out together and had a great time. I told you on last week's episode, though, that I would ask my English friend if she had ever heard of Dylan Thomas. And sure enough, she was familiar with the name. She named off a couple of other poems that he had done, but she wasn't really familiar with Under Milkwood. Now, my other friend, who I said she's the smartest person, one of the smartest people I know, she had heard of Dylan Thomas and of the Stan Tracy Quartet. So she didn't know the music in general, but I just wanted to kind of get their take on Dylan Thomas, and because she's English, I figured she'd know a little bit. So she did know a few other poems, but just not Under Milkwood. So I appreciated the fact that I got to talk about jazz with my friends that evening a little bit. So we had a lot of fun. Having Diz in my ears didn't hurt at all this week. And then yeah, our personal artist, he kind of took center stage. I had a mild brain messed up a couple of days ago where I thought we were going to cover another different artist, but he's coming up next week.
My microphone was off because I'd heard some noises. So yeah,
Let there be light.
Let there be light. When I speak, it comes on. I'm like E.F. Hutton. The light fires up. I thought, what in the world is he going through? Why is he sending that text? And I was busy and I couldn't respond. And then finally, you said a second one, said, "Oops." And I thought, what? To me, it was that kind of week. I was thinking maybe I was listening to the wrong album of the week. So no, we weren't. We're listening to the right one.
I had been listening to Diz all week. I knew what I was doing. I just had a mild,
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought or something. But I'm super excited to talk about Dizzy Gillespie tonight.
Do you want to say anything about Delaney, Lady D, and the solo that she had the other day, Saturday night?
You know what? I did get to see the video of her performance of the solo that she had. It was an amazing drum solo that she had. Her band Gunslinger was playing at a small little bar here in town, and unfortunately we didn't get to go because we were at our progressive dinner party. But yeah, no, I saw the video, and she had an amazing drum solo that night. She got a text from a leader of a much well-known, better known band. So she was super stoked about that, but she did reiterate to us several times last night that she will not be leaving her current band. So, but it was just cool that she got a text saying, "Hey, I hear what you're doing and you're sounding great. So keep up the good work and hope our paths cross sometime in the future," which to me indicates that he's scouting her. So, but yeah, that's good news for her. But that just kind of brought my brain back to jazz and how they would switch in and out of bands all the time. I told you I finished the Clark Terry book last week, so I guess that was another big milestone for me, was finishing that book, because I took my time. I didn't want to rush through it, and when I finished, I felt like, oh man, I don't want to stop reading. So, but he talked about, he wanted to play for Duke, and he wanted to play for who was the other one that he really wanted to play for?
You're talking about your book. He wanted to play for Basie. He was playing with Basie.
Basie. He was playing with Basie, and then Duke called him, and he wanted to go play for Duke. So
he didn't know how to leave Basie to go to Duke, so he called in sick.
He called in sick. He made an excuse, said he needed some months off. So again, Delaney getting that text, just it brought that story back into my mind where he felt terrible for leaving, but he had to go because it was a huge opportunity for him. So
yeah,
that was my weekend music.
Good.
So you want to do clips first, or do you want to do the slideshow first?
I want to see what you got on the slideshow, because I think the information will help me prompt some dialogue that I had.
Okay, perfect. I think we can get through this slideshow fairly quickly. So you let me know when you're ready, and I'll start.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Just like I say every week, whatever you do, do it to jazz. And by our discussion just a minute ago, you can tell that we do that. Tonight's artist, Dizzy Gillespie, and the album is Shaw Nuff. Okay, so I picked the album art cover for the album that's listed in the magazine. This is Dizzy Gillespie and his sextet and orchestra. Love the photograph. I love the cover art. I think he's wearing a sweatshirt with his own picture on it.
I think it is. Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I tried to zoom in, tried to figure it out, but the horn rimmed glasses. That would have been earlier years with his little chopped goatee. But What I find interesting is he's just wearing a sweatshirt.
And he's got a straight horn.
Yes. Yes.
He's got a straight horn on the album cover. So you know you're a bad mamma jamma if you can wear a sweatshirt with your own picture on it.
Right. That's some flex right there.
That's flex. I'm not sure I could get away with it. All right, let's move on to the next slide. I picked out a couple of really cool photographs this week. That upper left photograph, just quintessential Dizzy Gillespie. That's what I picture every time I hear him play. It's just those cheeks puffing out, the horn bell bent up, and we'll talk about that story here in a little bit, I'm sure. But I just love that picture so much. That bottom picture on the left-hand side. Oh my goodness, that reminds me of the Einstein picture of Einstein sticking out his tongue.
Right.
It's classic Einstein, and this is classic Diz, just puffing those cheeks out. How many peanuts do you think he could fit in those cheeks?
They got to be salted peanuts.
Salted peanuts.
Yeah.
And then of course the artwork. It's a cool picture. I love the colors, and you can tell that it's Dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, let's move on to jazz lingo for the day. So the word that I picked today is improvisation. And that is when a musician takes advantage of moments in a performance, spontaneously creating fresh melodies. Of course, an improv, a solo, where they can move away from the melody and do their own kind of thing outside of that melody. So when a musician takes advantage of moments in a performance, spontaneously creating fresh melodies.
We improv tonight. It was Mom's birthday, so we had strawberry birthday cake.
Oh.
So we have birthday cake after dinner too. So
Yeah.
Nice.
improvisation happens in everything we do, not just music.
Well, and even on our journey here, because unfortunately, this album that we're getting ready to talk about, you can't find. And so the improv that we had to do was to pick a different album to listen to that had some of and most of the same songs as Show Enough. But yeah, switch to where you can get it, slide. Yes,
Yeah.
Switch to where you can get it. And you'll see that iTunes is crossed out. You can't get it on iTunes. Amazon Music is crossed out. You can't get it there. Spotify, YouTube Music, it's not there. Show Enough is not there. The only place that I found it on Discogs for sale is LP and CD. Now, I was lucky enough to find a copy in my library. I couldn't even find much information about the album Show Enough.
No.
So I put a quote on there.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, I put a quote on there from Dizzy. It's taken me my whole life to figure out which notes not to play. And we've heard quotes similar to that from other artists. But man, when it comes to Diz, I don't know. It doesn't sound like he struggles to find the correct notes to play. So that quote, it hit me a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to improvise, man. You just got to make it work no matter what.
Yeah.
Speaking of improvising, day after tomorrow is your brother's 50th birthday.
As
I
we're
know.
recording on the 3rd.
Yes. Yeah. And
In
we're
other
gonna
words, when this comes out in 10 days, I will have celebrated my birthday 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So happy late birthday to me today.
Yes.
But we did mention you, last week on the episode because you're
This day in history, 50 years ago.
50 years ago. Yep. Drew was born. All right, let's move on to the information slide. We'll get through this quick and start our discussion. Of course, tonight we are talking about Dizzy Gillespie. He was born in 1917, passed away in 1993. That made him 75 years old. The influences that I found for Diz, and I'm sure that we can discuss other influences, but Roy Eldridge was really the only one. It was listed on his wiki page, and I do a lot of research on wiki. I do a lot of research on other Google pages as well, but Roy Eldridge was really the only one that I found as an influence for Dizzy. Drew, did you find any more?
When I went through websites, when I went through documentaries, there was never really a lot of talk about it, other than the fact that when he was a jazz ambassador, a UN ambassador for the States, he really picked up that Latino beat. And so I think his influences may have been that Cubano style, but it doesn't really ever say influenced by. It just said that he changed from the trombone to the trumpet when he heard his idol, Roy Eldridge.
So to me, that would mean more that he's a pioneer.
Oh, yeah.
Not that there wasn't trumpet players before, but if he'd have listed Pops, if he'd have listed Fats, if he'd have listed some other, oh, hey, I used to listen to these cats and really want to play like them, I could get it. But man, he came up with his own kind of unique style and sound. So influences is Roy Eldridge. I probably miscounted, but I counted 96 as studio discography because I was exhausted yesterday when I was putting the slideshow together.
Yeah.
I wasn't falling asleep, but my eyes wouldn't stay open, and so I may have miscounted, but 96 studio CDs, and I know I got this one right. 24 as a sideman, at least 24.
Yeah.
So. Got those right. The genre that I got listed is jazz, and of course he's one of the founding fathers of bop and bebop. So bebop on there for sure, and then that Afro-Cuban jazz, like you mentioned. Just a few facts about Dizzy. His father was a band leader, so instruments were plentiful. He could bring home instruments, of the band and let Dizzy try them out, see what he liked. And like you said, he played the trombone for a while. He played the piano starting at age 4. So, he had that music. His dad probably instilled in him some kind of musical influence just by letting him try all the different instruments. I find it hard to picture Diz sitting there with a clarinet and his cheeks way out, because that'd just be looking.
Can't see it happening.
Nope, can't see it. He first recorded in 1937 with Teddy Hill. Now, I didn't rabbit hole down Teddy. I didn't listen to any of Teddy Hill's music, but man, maybe Teddy Hill gave him his first recording gig and set him afire and lit a fire under him and made him go. But I don't know. He did get his Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1989, and the Grammys were on last night. I didn't watch many of them, but yeah, 1989 was his Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Sure enough, like I said, there just wasn't many facts about the album. So the only fact I got is it was recorded in 1945 and 1946. It was released on the Music Craft label later in 1980, but it was recorded in 45 and 46.
I want to interject this now, because this is something I've been kind of biting on since we started the conversation. This is what we've always called a compilation album. This may have been from 45 and 46. It was not a session recording. It was a collection work of a boiled down best of the best. And what we would say is all of the albums that came out with these songs on them, Music Craft put together an album to highlight Dizzy Gillespie. So when it came out, it was a highlight. What Music Craft also did is put together a full compilation of everything he had recorded with them, which is what we consider Odyssey. So they had 2 unique albums that came out: Odyssey, the full length, 3 hours, and then this one, which is Sure Enough, which was a boiled down best of the best pick. So it is actually a compilation album. The classic Music Craft sides.
Is that why it's not listed in his list of works then? Because on the wiki page, you always go to the discography and search through his list of works. Yeah. It is not listed on there at all. So this is strictly a compilation done by the recording company.
Yes.
and the recording company Musicraft, I was reading about them earlier. They were founded in 37, and they kind of remind me a little bit of Jeanette.
Yep.
Like they would record anything, classical music, folk, jazz, Latin, and calypso. Some of their artists were Mel Torme, Sarah Vaughan, and of course Dizzy, Duke Ellington, and Teddy Wilson. So they kind of, to me, were getting their start like Jeanette was, but they just kind of fizzled out.
That's
Unlike Jeanette,
Yep.
they didn't fizzle; they just kind of burned out.
Yep. And that's why you'd have to search for compilation albums.
It's not listed under the compilation either.
No.
It's not. It's not. So trust me, I've gone
Oh, yeah.
to some try and find it. So, anyways, all right, let's finish the slideshow with the 6 degrees of separation. Of course, it's real easy. Dizzy and Miles, they played together, so there's 1 degree or 0 degree. Well, yeah, 1 degree.
1 degree.
All right. Today in jazz history, this episode comes out on February the 12th. Mahalia Jackson records Come Sunday with Duke Ellington in 1958. Baritone sax player Lars Pliery Gullen records Holiday for Piano in 1953. And I've got one final quote by Diz on the slideshow. I tried to play the bare essence to let everything be just what it's supposed to be. That's what this episode's going to be. It's what it's supposed to be.
There's no doubt. It's the bare essence with a light flickering on and off, and it's everything I could do to pull this together. Should we have waited till tomorrow night? Absolutely.
Well, we could have, but now we're improvising.
Hey, baby. It's going to be a laughing joke all night long on this. I'll be laughing when I see it. And here's the quote that goes really well with this. And I've been looking at this all week. In the Wikipedia, it talks about a conversation of chord changes in the music. And Diz said it's never changed. It's always been the same. The only difference is how you get there from chord to chord. And he was referring to the generation from the ragtime to the swing, and his swing into this bebop and hard bop sound. And somebody had asked him about it, and he just said, it's all the same. It's just how you get from chord to chord. In the bebop, you play twice as fast. The hard bop, it's 4 times the speed. Can you dance to it? And that was in a documentary. He said, I dance on stage every night to this. If people can't dance that fast, that's not my problem, because I can dance to it. And the documentary, I cracked up because I think the craft services came in before they interviewed him. So he's on screen just chomping away at something, and the mic is right here so you can hear every bite. And it cracks me up because that to me is Diz. If I'm sitting having a conversation with him, if I'm having a conversation, I kind of expect that to be Diz. He's just the way he is. And
he might have been hungry
for cover art, wearing a sweatshirt with a picture of yourself on it.
He might have been hungry for a different reason, though.
Man.
Cool. All right. Hey, I'm ready with my. I know what I want to hear.
What do you want
Are
to
you
hear?
ready? I want to hear. I want to hear the song.
He beeped when he should have bopped.
Should have bopped.
Is that?
And if no way, are you serious? Okay, all right,
No,
all right.
that's good because I've got several other choices. Go for it.
Okay, start that right about 125.
Let's see, minute 25, starting right there. Nope, that's Blues Boogie. He beeped when he should have bopped. Okay, you ready?
We're improvising tonight.
We're improvising tonight.
Here we go. 3, 2.
All the cats together.
Yeah, that's good.
And
That was a
this
good
one
choice.
here, I actually chose the alternate version of it, but I know that there is a vocal version with Sarah Vaughan, and then his version where he sings,
His version.
which would have been this alternative version where you hear him start to sing.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the vibes right at the very beginning, and then Diz comes in with his solo, and then the vibes come back in to kind of finish off that whole phrase.
Oh,
And I'm telling you, man, I love Gary Burton, I really do. But Milt, to me, is just the epitome of jazz vibes. I mean, I love me some Gary Burton, I really do. But Milt, oh man. All right.
He almost pulls the notes out. We've talked about that with the vibes before. It's almost as if he extracts the sound and doesn't hit the mallet to force a sound. Yeah, what's your clip?
Loverman. I chose this because of Miss Sarah Vaughan. Basically, started at the beginning. I think started at the beginning. Loverman.
Start
Song number
beginning.
6. Yep.
Loverman.
I don't know why, but I'm feeling so sad. I long to try something I've never had. Never had no loving, never had no kissing. Lover man, oh, where can you be? The night is cold and I'm so all alone.
Dad?
Yeah, this Loverman's a great clip. Yeah.
Yeah, what I liked about it, not only the vocalization, of course, but it puts me back to 45 and 46 in that time era, and I could feel that that vibe basically. Here we are, music in the 40s and 50s. So yeah, and of course. For some of the viewers, they might know that I happen to be born in 46. You two guys might not remember that.
I will now.
Yeah, be prepared so that when I die, you don't get fumbled up and say, let's see, when did
Wait a minute. 46?
Got the wrong date on your tombstone.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And I was just, when you said that, I looked down. The Odyssey, the Dizzy Gillespie Odyssey album covers 45 to 52, so it's a bigger range.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah. It just takes him back to that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna say this, lean into the camera, and I thought I was old. I better be careful. He is staying here.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
might wake up one morning with a horse head in my bed. Or a turtle head, one or the other.
I'm not going to go there.
That's right.
I was thinking of something else.
What clip do you have, Drew? What do you want to hear?
I wanted to go into Blue and Boogie.
Oh,
just that opening track on Blue and Boogie. It's just such a killer intro there. So I'm going to start with that at the beginning. Y'all just have to go check out Blue and Boogie yourselves. I'm gonna stop it there for that very reason. It is such a fun. It takes you to what I imagine the 40s to be. But what it reminded me of is Dizzy's ability to compose. And that came from being part of those big bands of yesteryears. And it's such a crucial piece. This is what stands out. I'd mentioned this to Dad earlier tonight. One of the things that Diz said in an interview in the mid to late 80s is what we're losing is the jazz musician's ability to sit in a big band and learn from those who have gone before them and to learn the music. From the lack of the big bands, whether it was in this particular case, you've got all of the other names that came from his early years, the Teddy Hill group, and then you're talking about, I just lost my page there, all of the people who he served in a big band. I lost it, and I was going to say the name because I want to get to it in a little bit, but yeah, you lose the ability.
It's interesting that you say that because right before we started recording, I was watching TikTok and I followed Jason Marsalis, Wynton's brother. Jason posted a lot of stuff on TikTok, and that was the one thing that this video that I watched tonight was covering is the mentorship. We don't see that much anymore. Today's artists, they come out on stage and they perform with only themselves, and there's no mentorship into the world of music anymore. I mean, let's face it, Taylor Swift doesn't need a mentor. She's huge. But if you think of I don't want to say Bria because she's got a mentor and his name's Wynton. But let's think of some other names who could use an older mentor to get them to the next level or to a superstar.
I think about Gary Burton to Pat Metheny.
Oh,
Gary
thank
said
you.
to him, come back when you have something that's not what everybody else is doing. Come back when you have your sound. And Pat comes back a dozen times, and Gary's like, oh, that's cool, but what's yours? So I think of that. You know, you think of somebody like Fats Navarro to Clifford. We talk about where were their influences from, and some of that starts with the ability to play with, play Billy Eckstine's band. You play like you mentioned earlier, Clark Terry having the ability to lead Basie to go with Ellington. For him, he looked at it and said, who do I mentor next? He screwed up and missed out on Dewey Davis, but he mentored Quincy Jones, who then said, hey, man, I'm going on a road trip. I need you in my band. And so Clark shows up.
By the way, Quincy got his Lifetime Grammy Achievement Award again last night. So that was the section. I watched that, and I watched Herbie Hancock section perform last night on the Grammys. Was amazing. Yes. So yeah, I'm sorry. Yep, keep going.
No, but it's that mentorship that happens in the big bands when you've got 25, 26 players. You've got somebody who's gone before, and you've got somebody who's going to be following up on that for years to come. Who's the trumpet player that mentors that person, or who's the trombone player that mentors that person? And in the big band, when you have Cab Calloway putting down here's what we're going to do. Woody Herman says, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, but write some compositions for me. I don't know how to do that. Well, everybody's going to write something. And they're forcing you out of your comfort zone, but allowing you to learn in a safe environment. One of the phrases that have been stuck with me this week when it comes to the Sunday Night Jazz Ensemble for Lily, a failing safe environment. You're there to learn how to play an instrument, how to associate with people who are not your normal friend circle or your band circle, but you learn to fail through a process of trying. Failure is a sign of trying. And so I think that's a big, big deal when you really boil that down. How many of Cab Calloway's orchestra went on to be somebody? How many Dukes? How many Caseys? How many Woody Herman left to the Thundering Herd and went onward? How many of Wynton's pupils?
Young Lions.
Come on, the Young Lions. How many of Dizzy's people in his big bands went on to be some? How many of Clark Terry's students have come on to be as great or greater well known. And how many of those names started with the yesteryears of, in the 40s, he played with Parker to develop the bebop, Dizzy did. He taught many other influences, including Miles Davis, Fats Navarro, Clifford Brown, Arturo Sandoval, Lee Morgan, Chuck Mangione, and balladeer Johnny Hartman. You talk about the 40s, Gillespie was able to influence and move those on. And I love me some Clifford and Fats Navarro. But Arturo Sandoval playing out way in yesteryear's fields, I mean, come on. And so that mentorship is important.
So, all right, let me ask you, because the clip that you played, Blue and Boogie, we heard Diz start off on the solo section, but then there's a sax that comes in and plays the harmony with him. Which do you think that's Parker, or do you think that's Sonny Stitt that comes in and plays that?
You know what?
Keeping up with Diz on that section, making it almost sound like a trumpet, but it's not. It's that alto sax coming in. I just wonder because Parker probably influenced him a little bit. Diz probably influenced Parker a little bit. And I don't know. You just got to imagine that they're not really dueling it, but kind of, hey, let's see how fast we can actually play this. And then Parker comes in. You know, it was so exciting. It was a great clip that you played just for that very fact that I was hearing the trumpet, but then I thought I was hearing another trumpet and realizing, no, there's only one trumpet listed, and that's Diz.
Yeah.
It's got to be Charlie Parker or Sonny Stitt.
That's who I would assume it was. I think some of our listeners may have studied this album a little bit more in depth. So please let me know who that was that jumps in there. It could have been a host of them because, again, as a compilation, these would have been different recorded time periods. This week's artist that we're studying personally did 15 albums in the course of 2 years, some of which with this quintet and that quintet and this one. And I think that's this collaboration of the Odyssey.
Yeah. All right.
I'm also trying to pull it up as I go, so I'm like, go.
Yeah, I get it. I'm going to read the last paragraph of the magazine, of the article in the magazine. And again, we're using the Jazzwise magazine's top 100 albums that shook the world. Okay, that's what we're using as our journey guide here. We're on number 46 this week, Dizzy Gillespie, and I'm just going to read the last paragraph. Musicraft, the short-lived label which released these sessions at the time, was briefly revived in the 1980s in time for the most satisfactory CD reissue of this historic material, which is sadly hard to find now. So it's historic because it's reissued on CD. But Musicraft, again, we talked about them just a little bit ago, you know, being the kind of the Jeanette of this. So, Dad, what's your overall impression of the album? What did you think overall?
When I first started listening to it, obviously it was a little complicated because you had to jump from one track to the next track, and I'm used to hearing the tracks start one after the other, and so it was a little complicated at first, and I was a little bit disorganized.
Okay.
But after listening to all of the tracks, I started feeling the groove. I started feeling the music. I started feeling I felt the feeling. Okay, it's a term I just have heard over and over again. Feel the feeling, and that's where I was. I was feeling the movement, the excitement, the musicianship. So, obviously. So overall, I liked the whole album. There was hardly one piece on the album that I did not appreciate.
Good. Okay? Do you think that it's recognizable? Do you think if one of these songs came on that you would know that it's Diz? Do you think you'd know without? I love to play the game with myself where I listen to music on shuffle and I really try and pick out the artist. Do you think you'd be able to pick out Diz?
Well, let me say this. Definitely if it's Salt Peanuts.
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
And that has become one of his jazz standards.
Yes.
Salt peanuts.
I
Yes.
really did like that piece.
Yes.
And I could play that over and over.
Manteca.
Yeah.
Manteca is another one of his jazz standards that
Yeah.
it hits my heart because it was on that GRP CD that I used to listen to inside now. Anyways, the GRP All Star Big Band. Manteca was on there, and whew, man, that song rocks.
Mhm.
So yeah, okay, good. Are you ready to score, Drew? Yeah.
I am, but I want to throw a curveball into some things because I just took a look at this, and one of the other saxophone players listed on the album is Dexter Gordon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's a tenor, and I couldn't quite make out in my earbuds this time playing it. Was that a tenor or an alto?
I'm pretty sure it was an alto.
So it would have been Parker then, because it was listed as track listings, and it was Dizzy, Dexter, Charlie, Sarah Vaughan, Steve Jordan, Oscar Pettiford. So I think that it had to have been then the Charlie Parker and not Dexter Gordon.
Cool. So let me ask you. Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, you left us on a cliffhanger last week and asked the question, how did his horn get bent?
Yeah, so do tell.
What kind of stories did you read?
It's the same thing. I think the same thing that Wiki showed. I was just curious if you guys would do your homework on it and find out what it was.
I read it on the Wiki page, and then I looked up. I looked up the dancers, and there's not really much about them either.
No. Wiki says he was throwing a party for his wife, and up on the bandstand it got a little bit rowdy.
Yep.
And somebody bent the horn.
Stump and Stumpy, the dancers, they were tap dancing comedic duo. Stump and Stumpy. And what I'm seeing on the screen right now is Stump and Stumpy. I caught that. I saw that.
You're not nice.
You're bad.
So yeah, it got rowdy, and someone fell on his horn that was on a stand and bent it.
Oh,
yeah.
The cool thing was though is he picked it up and he started playing it, and he liked the sound. He liked the way that it changed the sound just enough that then he drew. I can picture him drawing something on a napkin and sending it to Selmer or whoever his horn maker was, and said, "Design me or build me one of these, please." And then that became kind of his.
And I'm going to put a picture of one of the first prototypes up. Instead of bending the horn, they actually put cuffs around it. To help bend it. Did you read why he appreciated that the bell flare up?
I did not.
If the bell flare goes up and into the audience, the sound falls. Mm-hmm. If it goes straight out, you have to hold your horn up vertical, which means for most trumpet players leaning back their head. He can point down like Miles did to the ground and still have it elevated above the crowd. So it gave him a better projection, but the main reason is that the noise coming out of the bell, he could hear better.
Okay.
And I learned that when practicing the flugelhorn, it's really close to my face, so I can hear the sound rolling out of it. When I started to play the trumpet with its long snout, I couldn't hear as well. There are manufacturers that build discs for the end of your trumpet to help reflect the sound back so you can make sure you're getting the sound you want. That bell flared up, fell back to his ears better, so he could also hear himself better. So that's why I wanted you to look into it. I actually couldn't remember if it was Stumpin' Stumpy at that one or when he stabbed somebody in the leg because of the argument on the bandstand.
Yeah.
That's what I was...
Wiki page says it was the dancers Stumpin' Stumpy.
Stumpin' Stumpy.
You're bad.
Yep. All right. Are we ready to rate this thing? Let's rate this thing.
Let's get the show.
Or did you?
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about some of the other albums that you listened to? Because I got a short list.
I do too, but let's do it.
All right. I did Diz and Arturo, To a Finland Station, two greats playing together. I did Afro from 1954. Hard bop with great beats.
Dude,
is in my notes.
That right there was just amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know. Let's see, Manteca theme and A Night in Tunisia. I mean, come on, that's what I wrote about Afro. I did make in my notes that Chuck Mangione, Diz was Chuck Mangione's mentor, and that's enough for that 0.5 kick up in my score that I'm going to give here in just a few minutes.
Yep.
So, all right,
I did Free Ride from '77.
Free Ride. Okay.
And it was a 70s album for sure, and somebody had written it's very much a record of and for its time. It was composed and arranged and conducted by Lalo Schifrin, and it had Ernie Watts on saxophone.
Oh,
a name
boy.
I've heard more and more and more recently, and he's good friends with a sax player that I know. So I hear that name even more and more and more. And Shazam, what an album it is. I ended up on Afro the same because it was just such a cool album. But there's so much great... I mean, this is the weird thing to me. Somebody said to me this week, Diz was known for his big band stuff. And I kind of shook my head and I went, he was? Because everything I've ever heard of Diz up until now has been all that bebop stuff with Parker. You hear how big of an impact it was in the hard bop scene. So I didn't think of him as a big band guy. So for me to step into the big band sounds of this album, what an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
Shown up. It's shown up it was enough music. I'll be listening to Dizzy for a long time.
Well, and that's, you know what, that's what I was going to say too. And we say it occasionally, and we haven't said it in a while, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we can pick Diz back up in the future and pick 6 albums to listen to between the three of us, and still have enough to listen to for a long time. So cool. Dad, got any final thoughts about the album before we rate?
I do not. No, not this evening. Okay. Thank you.
Matt, I'll let you start then.
All right. Well, this week, Dizzy Gillespie, sure enough, we improvised and everything else, but his score for me came out this week at a 9.5. I mean, I was stuck at a 9, and then I read that he was Chuck Mangione's mentor, and I kicked it up just for that fact to a 9.5. I loved it. I love listening to the album. Odyssey, of course, is a 3-disc, 3-hour tour on its own, but it's amazing anyways. So 9.5 for me. Dad?
I rated it at 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, it was true. And again, the musicianship was outstanding, but it's complicated. Okay, just because going from one track to another.
Yeah.
So I gave it an 8.5.
Nice.
So that's healthy for me to give it an 8.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And oddly enough, I fall right in the middle of both of you. I'm at 9. The week we went through this, I spent more time on Odyssey. So 3 hours of music and 3 hours of music is like a 30-minute song to me. That's a lot. And so when I think it was a week later or so, then the album came in, and that's when we realized it's like a 40-minute album, if you can find it. So I gave it a 9.
Good.
hindsight, to understand who Diz is, I can't rate it. I can't justify putting a rating on that compilation of music. And I've watched a lot this week of Chuck Mangione. Watching his videos when he's with his band, to see the energy that he puts into it, it makes me think about Diz. In every video you ever watch of Diz, man, he is out there gagging it up and having a blast. And that to me is Diz. Mm-hmm. Dizzy Gillespie is a heck of a character to watch, which is fun. And when you listen to him play, you just think about his laughter and his humor and the way he danced to everything. So,
yeah, for sure. All right. Hey, why don't you introduce next week's artist? I'm going to let you.
You want me
I'm
to
going
do
to let.
it?
I do. I want you to do it.
Next week, we are going on an adventure somewhere to the outer rims of the universe and back. Next week, we're going to a Magic City. By Sun Ra, the album is The Magic City. It was on Impulse, came out on LP and CD, and it was recorded in 1973. This is going to be, I'm guessing, only guessing, but you guys know we've already listened to it. What an adventure. Sun Ra, The Magic City.
The Magic City. Dad, I think I think you might dig it. It's gonna push your limits a little bit of jazz, listening to jazz. I think it's gonna push you a little bit.
Okay.
Do you remember the conversation we had this week, though? You and me, Matt?
I do.
And I'm going to say this to him. He's here with me for the week. You're going to have to go there.
You're gonna have to go there.
We can't bail you out of this week's album.
Okay.
You will have to experience it.
Yes, I'm sure.
And this reminds me, Matt, there's so much music out here in the jazz genre. There are things that we don't like, but we're going to listen to and we're going to research and we're going to dig into. There are things that we love and we want to go back to. Somewhere in between, we find our style. And as I finished editing last week's video, Dad's epiphany of how does this album Stan Tracy compare to EST? And I really hesitated because I was like, watermelons and apples and ostrich eggs and chickens. The reality is it hit me then. He understands there's some differences in the jazz genre in Stan Tracy's album So Chill and Relaxed. EST, Gregorian's Point of View, or 7 Days of Falling, such an easygoing pieces of music. Mm-hmm. Sun Ra is anything but that. However, we've got to go there to know there.
Sure.
You got to experience it.
Got to experience it, and I'm looking forward to the discussion next week and hearing Dad's thoughts on the Magic City. Now, you know what? If it's the only one that you listen to, it's going to be okay. But I will say I listened to at least 5 or 6 different Sun Ra albums the week that we did it, so I had a lot of Sun in my ear that week. I think you'll enjoy it, but it's going to push you just a little bit. It will.
Oh, it will.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe you and Drew could listen to some together while he's smoking ribs or something.
I guess
I'll be smoking something if I'm listening to Sun Ra.
I guess I don't have a choice, do I?
Matt, I just looked down at our scores for that.
Yeah.
You and I are pretty close on scores on a lot of things, but that week we were not close.
Nope, we were not.
You see that?
Nope, we were not.
Oh, yeah.
Matt and me.
Wow.
So Sun Ra, the Magic City.
Okay.
Here we go. All right. See you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank you all.